computer and turns them into sound.
Shall we play a game?
Oh.
Yes, shall we play a game of Missile Command for Atari 2600? What a classic game based on the awesome arcade game that had all the excitement of a thermal catastrophic nuclear war.
How about someday we both do an asteroids marathon attempt together at the same time?
Missile Command was pretty awesome.
The chances of something fabulous finally happening.
And as a kid, I didn't really think about the heaviness of the fact that it was a game based on a nuclear war. Maybe because this cool character in the penis-shaped helmet and that hot chick he works with are pretty at ease in the art. I mean, they look like it's just another day at the office for them, so I think the magnitude of it all never really hit me. But make no mistake, the art here is absolutely incredible, and this art, I believe, is unique to the 2600 version. And what art it is, it really is classic. You will never see anyone wearing a helmet quite like that.
What about Muck? Someone isn't gonna like that.
Well, at least Twiggy's on my side.
Well, maybe I spoke too soon.
What a bummer.
I hate to say it, but the top of that helmet looks like the top of a boner. But hey, let's not take away the seriousness that is Missile Command for Atari 2600. You gotta play Missile Command on a good old classic Atari 2600, and you pop it in. Now, when I got an Atari, me and my brothers actually, it was the Christmas of 1981, and my grandfather is the one who ponied up the money, and it came as a real surprise. And before that, my biggest Christmas surprise was maybe 5 years old, possibly 5 or 6, getting a Schwinn Scrambler bike. Walking downstairs to see bikes with ribbons on them. But, and there were some good Christmases, but man, that big Atari box, I should have known an Atari was in there. My grandpa, I think, and his roommate discovered Atari back in New York, and then, we were starting out. My dad was cool about taking me and my brothers to the arcades sometimes. He'd play some Battlezone, and he was pretty cool about it. And we would play a little. But when we started being in the car and talking about, an Atari or something, I remember him saying, well, if we had that, then we're not going to be able to go to the arcade anymore. And I did not see the logic in that answer at all. He was basically saying, like, you can't have both. And I don't think I understood what his process of thought was at the time. It could have been one of two things. My dad was not a big spender, or at least he may not have wanted to spend too much money on video games, or he might have felt that video games, maybe the talk amongst parents was, you have to limit the amount of video games, so if we were going to have a video game system at home, we wouldn't be able to go to the arcades. But to me, that was just ridiculous thinking, because it was 1981, and I wanted lots of video games. Now, the 2600 Missile Command, I think what I like, one of the best things is the color, and you get basically the color of the bottom changing in the cities, and it really is a big charm of the 2600 in the early days, just the colors changing. And we all know that we only get to shoot missiles from the middle. That's too bad. And we're missing the satellites from the awesome arcade version. It'd be nice if it was like that, but
I would like to talk about doing that at some point. That sounds like a great idea. Let's have a look. Oh, the #1 world record holder for a video game name.
We don't get that airplane that you saw on the screen there, the 2600. And we don't get that weird-looking satellite.
Take a bow, my man. Right on.
But they did the best they could in giving us a good game. And I don't think anyone's complaining about the Atari 2600 version. And you know, when it comes to an end, you get that classic you look back on it, maybe Missile Command wasn't so much of a little kid's game. But we liked it, and one more thing about Missile Command for the Atari 2600 is the two-player mode. It was well thought out, I thought, because you don't want to play a video game and then it's your brother's turn, and you have to wait an hour for him to die. That's just miserable, like when you're playing Mario. In Atari 2600's version, you set it for a two-player game, and you simply beat the wave, which only takes, less than a minute, like that, and then the turn automatically turns to the second player, and they're plugged into the second port, and they get their turn. So I remember playing with my brother, and it would just make, between that and combat, if we didn't feel like waiting for each other, those were good go-to games to go to, because you didn't have to wait forever for your turn. And sometimes we would go to the more difficulty levels that take you right to the hard stuff, like that red screen, or at least the light blue screen, and get right down to the heat of it. And Missile Command's a good game. Good colors, good Atari 2600 game, and thanks to this incredible art, the man with the penis-shaped helmet, it really gets guys wanting to play, and it gets women thinking about other things. That's another review from me, Paul Maxey. Have a good night. We all know Missile Command's the winner. I didn't make many jokes in this video because nuclear war is not a joking matter. Alright, have a good night.